Hello, Barcelona family. Feel free to like and subscribe to the channel to stay updated on everything about Barcelona. In this video, we will discuss a huge bombshell at Barcelona. But before that, we need to address some very important topics concerning our beloved club. Let's move on to the first point. Barcelona supporters have become accustomed to intense summers, filled with rumors, negotiations, and speculations about departures and arrivals. This time, the name at the center of the storm is Raphinha, the Brazilian forward who has earned the respect of the dressing room, the trust of the technical staff, and the affection of the supporters, who appreciate his commitment in every match. However, in recent hours, news has begun to circulate forcefully, triggering all the alarms at Barça. Manchester United is ready to do everything to recruit the Brazilian winger and is preparing an offer that could exceed €85 million. The interest of the English club is not new, but this time, it seems very serious. At Old Trafford, they want to regain their place both in the Premier League and in Europe, and for that, they are looking to integrate proven footballers who guarantee immediate performances. Raphinha perfectly fits this profile. He is fast, technical, hard-working, with experience in major leagues, and, above all, committed to the collective, the type of player every coach would want on their team. And it is precisely this that worries Barcelona supporters the most, that one of our most precious assets could leave just when we need sporting stability the most. Raphinha's contractual situation is also a factor that adds tension. Although his contract does not end this season, his link with the club is not the longest, and so far, there are no clear signs of an extension in sight. The club, in its desire to prioritize other operations and resolve more urgent issues, has put several individual situations on pause, and this could cost dearly if not acted upon in time. The Brazilian has repeatedly demonstrated his commitment to the club and his willingness to continue, but he also understands that he is at a stage in his career where he must think about his projection and his value in the market. Since his arrival, Flick has made it clear that he counts on Raphinha as one of his key players. The German coach not only appreciates his offensive deployment but also his defensive sacrifice, his ability to press high, his adaptability to different tactical schemes, and his maturity within the dressing room. It is no surprise that, in the first training sessions and matches under his direction, the Brazilian has been one of the most used and best-rated players. Flick sees him as fundamental in the structure of the team he is building, and according to sources close to the club, he has expressly asked the management not to consider his departure. But in today's football, the coach's will is not always enough. The economic aspect weighs increasingly in the club's decisions, especially in entities like Barcelona, where financial management remains delicate. An offer exceeding €85 million, like the one Manchester United could present, would be difficult to ignore from the offices, especially if it arrives without complex conditions or players included in the operation. It would be clean money that would allow facing other recruitments, resolving debts, and improving the salary margin. However, the question all Kules are asking is whether it is really worth it. Is it wise to weaken a key part of the team for a momentary economic benefit? To what extent should we continue to sacrifice the sporting present in the name of financial stability that is not consolidating? The answer, from a purely footballing perspective, seems clear: Raphinha should not leave the club. His performance has been remarkable. He has scored important goals, provided decisive assists, and, above all, has been a constant player in his commitment. He does not hide, does not give up, does not negotiate effort. He is one of those footballers who do not need headlines to demonstrate their value. They do it by running after every ball, pressing relentlessly, and celebrating the team's goals as if they were their own, even if they did not score them. Raphinha already represents this type of professional who honors the jersey every minute he is on the field. From an emotional point of view, his departure would also be a hard blow for the supporters. The Brazilian has managed to build a sincere bond with the supporters, who appreciate his attitude, his closeness, and his commitment. He is not one of those players who live for the cameras or social media. His language is that of football, and that is why he also connects with an audience that, beyond the big names, has always appreciated those who sweat for the jersey. Seeing him leave for England, no matter how much money comes in, would be a betrayal of that feeling. And the truth is that this type of operation has a cost that goes beyond the financial. When you let a player who integrates into the system, performs on the field, and has the respect of the group go, you lose much more than a number in the budget. You lose cohesion, you break a dynamic, you weaken a project. That is why Flick has been so clear in his position. He knows that rebuilding a team is not just a matter of names but also of chemistry, assumed roles, natural hierarchies. And Raphinha is already part of that structure that the coach wants to consolidate. The United's offer, if it finally comes in the speculated terms, will be difficult to refuse. But the greatness of a club is not only measured by its ability to sell expensive, but also by its firmness in maintaining what works. If Barcelona wants to return to the top, if it really wants to compete with the giants of Europe, it must start making decisions that prioritize the sporting aspect. And this is an opportunity to do so. There are no signs of tension or rupture, only a prudent silence, perhaps waiting for the club to take the step and publicly confirm its willingness to count on him in the long term. That is why it is time to act. We cannot repeat the mistakes of the past. We cannot continue to see English clubs come, take our players, and, moreover, leave us with the task of finding replacements up to the task. Raphinha is already here, he has shown what he can contribute, and has earned a deserved place in the hearts of the supporters. Let's not let him escape. From this space, as Kuhl's convinced that talent is not sold but protected, we raise our voices to say clearly, Raphinha must stay for what he represents, for what he brings, and because we believe in a sporting project where committed and performing players must be the foundation, not a bargaining chip. And to our dear afición, we pose the question, what do you think? Are you ready to see Raphinha leave for 85 million, or do you prefer that the club bets on the consolidation of a competitive team with continuity and fighting spirit? The second piece of news concerns an important decision in our beloved club. Dani Olmo is once again the protagonist of transfer market rumors, and this time, the interest comes from none other than the English champions. Manchester City, under the direction of Pep Guardiola, has set its sights on the talented Spanish international, who is currently establishing himself as one of the great realities of European football. According to sources close to the British club's environment, Guardiola has identified Dani Olmo as his #1 priority to strengthen the team's offensive zone for the next season. And as always, when the Catalan coach points to someone, the club mobilizes with all its financial power. From England, it is reported that City would be ready to present an offer that could largely exceed €80 million to convince both Barcelona and the player himself. The idea is clear: integrate Olmo as soon as possible and allow him to adapt to the team's dynamics from the start of the pre-season. Guardiola considers his profile ideal for the team's style of play and is convinced that he can be a decisive piece in his tactical scheme. But while the alarms are ringing enthusiastically in England, in Barcelona, the tone is different. Concern, worry, and, above all, resistance, because for Barca supporters, Dani Olmo is not just any name. He is one of those players who embody the very essence of the club: intelligent, technical, committed, humble, and with an understanding of positional play that is not found every day. His time in Germany gave him maturity, and his return to Spain signified the rediscovery of his footballing roots. He is a footballer who seems to have been trained with the Barca style in mind, and that, in these times, is an invaluable value. Seeing Guardiola interested in him is proof of his category, without a doubt. But it is also a warning sign. If someone with Pep's knowledge and experience is willing to do everything for Dani Olmo, shouldn't we, at Barca, do everything possible to retain him? Shouldn't we protect a player who still has so much to offer and who is just beginning to show his full potential? The answer should be a categorical yes. And it's not just about what Olmo brings on a footballing level. He adds on a human, emotional, symbolic level. In an era where recruitment seemed to be governed by algorithms and numbers, he represents something purer: the love for well-played football, the passion for collective play, the willingness to make those around him better. He has that rare ability to influence without needing to dominate, to build from intelligence without needing empty spectacle. It's natural that City wants him, but for Barca to let him go would be a mistake difficult to justify, because we're talking about a player who still has a lot of room for growth, who is at the perfect point between maturity and projection, and who has shown that he can lead without needing to shout. His game speaks for him and speaks in a language we know very well in Barcelona, that of passing, space, control, and association. The economic discourse will reappear as always, that if the offer is irresistible, that we need to balance the books, that if the market is complicated. All this sounds again and again every time a big club comes to fish in our waters. But it's time to ask ourselves, how many more times are we going to prioritize the immediate over the essential? Until when are we going to allow promising projects to break for the promise of quick money? We are not talking about a player who wants to leave. We are not talking about an unsustainable situation. We are talking about a happy, committed footballer who is ready to fight for a place, who understands where he is and what it means to wear these colors. We are talking about a profile that is not abundant and will be increasingly difficult to find. The club's technicians know this. Flick knows this. The new coach, who has already shown that he bets on well-understood talent and tactical coherence, considers Olmo a fundamental piece for his game idea. He knows that with players like him, he can build a competitive, balanced team with an identity. That is why, even though the pressure from England is intense, Flick does not want Dani to be touched. But even his will may not be enough if, from the offices, a purely financial logic is imposed. And that is where the voice of the fans comes into play, because Barça is not just a club, it is a collective feeling. And the members, the supporters, those who fill the stadium or follow from afar, have a lot to say. Really, are we going to look the other way if this operation materializes? Are we going to accept once again that one of ours leaves at the moment we need him the most? Olmo has that profile of a player who not only delivers sporting performances but also inspires. His work ethic, his humility, his commitment are values that this club has always defended, and his football is the kind that invites you to stand up from your seat. What more can we ask for? What this Barça needs is continuity. It needs to build on certainties, not on promises. And Dani Olmo is a certainty. At this point, doing without him would be like giving up a backbone before the body is fully formed. It's not a luxury, it's a necessity. And letting him go would be a step back just when we are trying to look forward again. From this corner, we say it clearly. No to the sale of Dani Olmo, neither at this price nor at any other, because there are things that money cannot buy and because there are projects that can only grow if we bet on the right people. Olmo is one of them. The future is built with firm, courageous, conscious decisions, not with improvised departures or sales that leave more doubts than solutions. Manchester City may insist, may offer astronomical figures, may try to seduce with its structure and titles, but Barça has something that no other club can match. Its history, its identity, and its people. And if we want to be great again, we must start by defending what we already have. Because it's not just about recruiting well, it's mostly about knowing who not to let slip away. And now, Kules, it's your turn. What do you think about all this? Should we accept an offer for Dani Olmo, no matter how tempting, or is it time to say stop and bet once and for all on our most committed and valuable players? Are we ready to see another talent forged with patience, effort, and vision, triumph far from Camp Nou? When could he do it here, with us? Because, in the end, this club is not built with what we sell, but with what we decide to keep. And Dani Olmo, without a doubt, is one of those who deserve to stay. The third piece of news concerns a huge bombshell at Barcelona. The silent revolution at Barcelona continues to make firm strides, and this time, the protagonist is a defender who perfectly embodies the values of this new project. Piero Hincapie will be a Barcelona player starting in June. The Ecuadorian defender, who has just shown at Bayern Leverkusen, has decided to accept the proposal from the Blaugrana club and will sign for 6 seasons, becoming one of the major reinforcements for the defensive line. The agreement is total, the decision is made, and all that remains is the official announcement, which will come at the end of the season. The operation, which has been worked on with absolute silence for months, is the result of serious, professional, and unobtrusive planning. Far from media noise, Barcelona has acted shrewdly to get ahead of other major European clubs that were also interested in the defender. The club was clear that Hincapie fit perfectly into the structure that Flick wants to build, and the German coach was instrumental in making the deal happen. Flick knows the Ecuadorian well from his time in the Bundesliga and gave his immediate approval. It is even said in the coach's close circle that Hincapie was one of his first requests when he took over the conversations to lead the team. This move makes even more sense in a context where there are clear signs of change in the defensive line. The departure of an important central defender is almost a fact, and doubts about the continuity of another player in this position have generated a climate that demanded a clear and firm decision. In this scenario, the arrival of Hincapie brings youth, talent, projection, and a personality that fits perfectly with what the new Barcelona is building. It is not just another addition, but a strategic, structural, and future-oriented bet. At 22 years old, Hincapie has already shown surprising footballing maturity. Trained in the lower categories of Independiente del Valle, the Ecuadorian attracted attention from a young age for his tactical reading ability, his solidity in duels, and his competitive character. His time at Talleres de Córdoba, in Argentina, was the springboard he needed, and from there, he made the leap to Bayern Leverkusen, where he established himself as one of the best young defenders in the Bundesliga. His performance has not only been consistent but also on the rise. In Germany, he is defined as a serious, silent, and effective defender. He does not seek media attention, but on the field, he gives his all. He is brave, fast, intense, intelligent, and best of all, he has room for improvement. At Barcelona, he will wear the number 17 jersey, a symbolic number that marks the beginning of a stage where he wants to write history. The club has given him full confidence, and he has responded with the same commitment. He knows it won't be easy, that the demand at Camp Nou is maximum, but he is prepared for the challenge. He is not coming to learn, but to compete, consolidate, and leave a mark. Hincapie's profile fits perfectly into the style of play that has always defined Barcelona. He is left-footed, which offers an ideal balance in defense, has a clean ball output, makes quick decisions, and knows when to take risks and when to secure. His positioning is impeccable, and in one-on-one duels, he is difficult to surpass. Additionally, he has a notable ability to anticipate, which allows him to recover balls without needing to commit fouls. And as if that were not enough, he can also act as a left-back, which offers additional solutions to the coaching staff. On an emotional level, this recruitment also has significant symbolic value. In Ecuador, the news has been received with pride and emotion. The arrival of a player from this country to Barcelona represents a milestone. It is the consolidation of a talent that has fought from the bottom, overcome obstacles, and now has the opportunity to shine on the biggest stage. In the Ecuadorian media, this is all anyone is talking about. It is a historic day for Ecuadorian football, headlined several newspapers after the agreement was known. In the streets of Esmeraldas, where Hincapie was born, there is emotion. His family, friends, and first coaches all experience it as a collective victory. In Germany, on the other hand, Leverkusen is already resigning itself to his departure. He was a fundamental piece for Xabi Alonso, but they understand that his cycle in the Bundesliga has ended. The German club is already working to find a replacement, aware that they will lose not only a great player but also a reference in the dressing room. Hincapie leaves with an impeccable image, professional, committed, always willing to give his best. His farewell will be emotional, but everyone knows that Barcelona is his natural destination. From the Barca perspective, this recruitment is one of the best pieces of news we could receive. It is not a move for effect to sell shirts, but an addition thought out with sporting logic. The club is not just recruiting a current central defender, but a future leader. Hincapie has everything to become one of the great references of the Blaugrana defense in the coming years. His character, humility, and ambition are the ingredients that define the greats. And most importantly, he comes with hunger. Flick, for his part, celebrates the operation with enthusiasm. In his first analyses of the team, he clearly identified the need to strengthen the defense with a profile like the Ecuadorians. He sees him as a starter, as a leader, as the central defender who will give solidity to the team and allow the rest of the squad to grow with more confidence. Flick wants to build from the back. Hincapie will be one of the foundations of this structure. This type of recruitment is what truly transforms a team. They do not generate scandalous headlines, but results. They do not sell smoke, but bring real solutions. And best of all, they are made with conviction, not improvisation. Barcelona is leaving behind a stage of doubts to embrace a clear model where planning, analysis, and long-term vision regain prominence. That is why, as a Barca fan, I can't help but feel proud of this move, as it represents everything we want to see in the club: commitment, strategy, intelligence. The recruitment of Hincapie is an absolute success. There is no other way to say it, and time will prove it. Now, I ask all of you who feel these colors with your heart, what do you think of the arrival of Piero Hincapie? Are you as excited about this recruitment as I am? Don't you think he is the type of player we needed to consolidate a strong, young defense with projection and character? I am convinced that this is the way, and recruitments like this give us back faith, as we feel that something good is underway, as we feel that Barcelona is starting to think big again. Leave us your opinion in the comments.